Welcome to Humanities Studies. Before we start, please subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon. Today, we are going to learn about different basic models of communication. Our lecture on models of communication will be divided into two parts. We will look after the advanced models in part 2. Right now, let us start with basic models of communication. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, offered his own model of communication that laid the foundation for the understanding of human communication processes. His model, known as the Aristotelian model of communication, emphasized the role of the speaker, the audience, and the message in effective communication. Although it was proposed over 2 millennia ago, Aristotle's model still holds relevance today and continues to influence our understanding of communication dynamics. At the heart of Aristotle's model is the concept of rhetoric, which refers to the art of persuasive communication. According to Aristotle, effective communication involves three main elements: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos pertains to the credibility and character of the speaker, pathos relates to the emotional appeal to the audience, and logos deals with the logical reasoning and evidence presented in the message. The speaker, or the rhetorician, plays a central role in Aristotle's model. The speaker's credibility, knowledge, and character are crucial in persuading the audience. Aristotle argued that a rhetorician should establish ethos by projecting themselves as trustworthy, knowledgeable, and having the audience's best interests at heart. This involves building a connection with the audience and demonstrating expertise in the subject matter. The audience, in Aristotle's model, is seen as an active participant in the communication process. The rhetorician must understand the audience's values, beliefs, and emotions in order to tailor the message effectively. Aristotle believed that different audiences require different approaches, and the speaker should adapt their style, tone, and arguments accordingly. By appealing to the audience's emotions and values, the rhetorician can establish a strong connection and increase the likelihood of persuasion. The message itself holds great significance in Aristotle's model. Aristotle emphasized the importance of logic and reasoning in constructing persuasive arguments. He argued that a rhetorician should provide evidence, examples, and logical reasoning to support their claims. The message should be organized in a clear and coherent manner, with a strong introduction to capture the audience's attention, a well-structured body to present arguments, and a compelling conclusion to leave a lasting impact. Aristotle's model also recognizes the role of context in communication. He acknowledged that the effectiveness of communication can be influenced by factors such as the occasion, the cultural background of the audience, and the medium used for communication. The same message may have different impacts depending on the context in which it is delivered. While Aristotle's model focuses primarily on persuasive communication, its principles can be applied to various forms of communication, including public speaking, writing, and interpersonal communication. The emphasis on credibility, emotional appeal, logical reasoning, and adaptability to the audience's needs remains relevant in contemporary communication practices. It is important to note that Aristotle's model has its limitations. It primarily addresses one-way communication from the speaker to the audience, without accounting for feedback or interactive elements of communication. Additionally, the model assumes a relatively passive role for the audience, overlooking the dynamic nature of communication where both parties can influence and shape the message. Nevertheless, Aristotle's model of communication continues to be influential and provides a valuable framework for understanding the persuasive aspects of human communication. Its emphasis on the speaker, the audience, and the message as essential elements in effective communication remains relevant in today's diverse and complex communication landscape. The Lasswell model of communication, developed by Harold Lasswell, is a linear model that focuses on the key elements involved in the communication process. It provides a concise framework for analyzing communication by addressing the fundamental questions of communication. Here is an explanation of each component in the Lasswell model. Who, the who, refers to the sender or source of the communication. It represents the person or group initiating the message. Says what, the says what, represents the content or message being communicated by the sender. It encompasses the information, ideas, or opinions being conveyed. In which channel, the in which channel refers to the medium or channel used to transmit the message. It can be a face-to-face conversation, telephone, radio, television, or any other communication channel. To whom, the to whom indicates the receiver or audience of the communication. It represents the individuals or group for whom the message is intended. With what effect, the with what effect focuses on the impact or outcome of the communication. It considers how the message influences the receiver, whether it achieves the desired effect, and the overall effectiveness of the communication process. The Laswell model can be summarized with the following questions. Who is the sender? What is being said? In which channel is it being communicated? To whom is it being addressed? With what effect? This model is often used in political communication, media studies, and propaganda analysis. It provides a structured approach to understanding the basic elements of communication and helps analyze the persuasive power of messages. However, it is important to note that the Laswell model oversimplifies the complexities and nuances of the communication process and does not account for feedback or the interactive nature of communication. The Shannon-Weaver model of communication, developed by Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver in 1949, is a mathematical model that provides a systematic framework for understanding the process of communication. This model, often referred to as the information theory model, focuses on the transmission of information from a sender to a receiver through a communication channel. The sender formulates a message and encodes it into a suitable form for transmission. The encoded message is transmitted through a chosen channel, which may introduce noise or interference. The receiver receives the transmitted message and decodes it to understand its content. The receiver provides feedback or a response to the sender, indicating the message's reception and comprehension. The sender adjusts their future messages based on the feedback received. The Shannon-Weaver model highlights the importance of effective encoding, clear transmission, and accurate decoding to ensure successful communication. It also recognizes the presence of noise as a potential barrier to effective communication and emphasizes the significance of feedback in assessing and improving the communication process. While the Shannon-Weaver model primarily focuses on the technical aspects of communication and the transmission of information, it does not fully account for the complexities of human communication, such as the role of emotions, cultural context, or nonverbal cues. Nonetheless, the Shannon-Weaver model remains influential in fields like telecommunications, engineering, and information theory, and provides a valuable framework for understanding the flow of information in various communication systems. The Shannon-Weaver model of communication, despite its simplicity, has been widely applied in various communication theories and has garnered attention from both human communication academics and information theorists, driving further research in the field. This model is particularly effective in person-to-person communication rather than in group or mass audience settings. The model centers around the roles of the sender and the receiver. The sender assumes the primary role in the communication process, as they are responsible for initiating and transmitting the message. On the other hand, the receiver plays a secondary role, primarily focused on receiving and decoding the information. In this model, the receiver is often portrayed as passive in the communication exchange. However, it is crucial to note that communication is not a one-way process, as implied by the Shannon-Weaver model. In reality, communication involves an active and dynamic interplay between both the sender and the receiver. Both parties contribute to the exchange of information, with the receiver providing feedback and potentially influencing the sender's subsequent messages. One of the criticisms of the Shannon-Weaver model is its limited consideration of noise in the communication process. Noise refers to any external or internal factors that can interfere with or distort the message being transmitted. Understanding the concept of noise is vital in addressing and resolving various communication problems. Noise can take various forms, such as physical noise, e.g., loud background sounds, semantic noise, e.g., misinterpretation of words, or psychological noise, e.g., preconceived biases. Despite its limitations, the Shannon-Weaver model remains a foundational framework for understanding communication processes. It provides a structured approach for analyzing the flow of information, encoding and decoding processes, and the role of feedback. Moreover, this model has been particularly influential in technical fields such as telecommunications and information theory, where the focus is primarily on the efficient transmission and reception of information. In conclusion, the Shannon-Weaver model of communication serves as a valuable starting point for comprehending the dynamics of communication. While it may oversimplify the complexities inherent in human interaction and overlook the active role of the receiver, it continues to shape our understanding of communication systems and has paved the way for further advancements in the field. Recognizing the limitations of this model and integrating additional perspectives and theories can lead to a more comprehensive understanding of communication processes in diverse contexts. George Gerbner, a pioneering figure in communication research and the former head of the Annenberg School of Communications at the University of Pennsylvania, contributed valuable insights to the field. While Gerbner did not propose a specific model of communication, he emphasized the dynamic nature of communication and factors that influence its reliability in his work. Perceptual dimension. An E is an occasion occurs in the reality and the occasion content or message is seen by M, man or a machine. After perceives the message from E by M is known as E1. E1 isn't same as like E. Since any man or machine can't seize the entire occasion and they seize just the piece of the occasion, E1. This is known as perceptual dimension. In this dimension, an event, E, occurs in real life and is perceived by an individual or a machine, M. The perceived message is referred to as E1, which is not the exact same as the original event, E, since individuals or machines can only perceive a part of the entire event. Three factors come into play between the event, E, and the perceiver, M: choice, setting, and accessibility. The perceiver, M, selects the interesting or relevant content from the event, filtering out the rest. Context is influenced by the event itself, and availability depends on the perceiver's attitude, mood, culture, and personality. For example, a journalist may filter and edit content from an event based on their attitude, mood, cultural background, or press policies. Means and controls dimension. In this dimension, the perceiver, M, takes the perceived content, E1, and transforms it into a message, E2, to be sent to someone else. Gerbner referred to the form and content of this message as say-to. The perceiver, M, uses channels or media to send the message, and the degree of control over these channels varies. The question of control relates to the perceiver's skill in using communication channels. For example, how effectively can they use words if using a verbal channel or new technology and words if using the internet? This process can continue with additional receivers, M2, M3, etc., perceiving statements, say 3, say 4, etc., about the original event, resulting in a cascade of interpretations. It is important to note that at every level, the message is altered or changed. For instance, in news reporting, an event, E, is selected by a reporter, M, who focuses on a specific part of the event, E1, that may generate higher ratings for their channel or support a particular political party. This transformed message, say-to, is then disseminated to a mass audience through a medium. The audience members further distribute the message, say-to, to their friends along with their own interpretations, and the process continues. Although Gerbner did not present a comprehensive communication model, his insights shed light on the complex nature of perception, selection, and the role of the individual in shaping and transmitting messages. The Osgood-Strummer model of communication, also known as the circular model of communication, was developed by Charles E. Osgood and Wilbur Strummer. It provides a more interactive and dynamic representation of the communication process compared to linear models. The key points of the Osgood-Scrum model in a series of statements. Communication is a circular process. The model emphasizes that communication is an ongoing and interactive process between the sender and the receiver. Encoding and decoding. The sender encodes the message by selecting and organizing symbols or words, while the receiver decodes the message by interpreting those symbols or words. Feedback is essential. The model recognizes the significance of feedback as it completes the communication loop. The receiver's response provides valuable information to the sender, helping them gauge the effectiveness of their message. Context matters. The model acknowledges that communication is influenced by the broader context in which it occurs. Factors such as cultural background, social norms, and environmental conditions can shape the meaning and interpretation of the message. Simultaneous sending and receiving. Unlike linear models where communication is depicted as a one-way flow, the Osgood-Scrum model highlights that both the sender and the receiver can be simultaneously sending and receiving messages. Interaction between sender and receiver. The model emphasizes the interactive nature of communication, where both the sender and the receiver play active roles in the process. They exchange messages and influence each other's understanding through their responses. Noise and barriers. The model recognizes that noise, in various forms such as physical distractions, language barriers, or psychological factors, can affect the communication process. These barriers can interfere with the accurate transmission and reception of the message. The Osgood-Scrum model provides a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of communication by highlighting the circular and interactive nature of the process. It underscores the importance of feedback, context, and the simultaneous involvement of both the sender and the receiver. This model has been influential in various fields, including interpersonal communication, mass media, and cross-cultural communication. Advantages of the Osgood-Scrum model of communication. Dynamic model. The Osgood-Scrum model demonstrates the dynamic nature of communication by illustrating how a situation can change and evolve during the interaction. Emphasizes redundancy. The model highlights the importance of redundancy, meaning the repetition or inclusion of additional information. Redundancy is considered essential for effective communication, as it helps ensure that the intended message is accurately received and understood. No distinct sender and receiver. Unlike some other models, the Osgood-Scrum model recognizes that the sender and receiver are often the same person or group. This understanding acknowledges the reciprocal nature of communication and that individuals can simultaneously send and receive messages. Circular communication. The model assumes that communication is circular, emphasizing the continuous exchange and interaction between the participants. This circular perspective reflects the ongoing nature of communication processes. Central role of feedback. Feedback is a central feature of the Osgood-Scrum model. It emphasizes the importance of receiving responses and reactions from the receiver, allowing the sender to evaluate the effectiveness of their message and make necessary adjustments. Disadvantages of the Osgood-Scrum model of communication. Neglects semantic noise. One limitation of the model is its failure to address semantic noise, which refers to disruptions in communication caused by differences in language, meaning, or interpretation. This omission overlooks the potential impact of semantic noise on the communication process. Assumption of instantaneous encoding and decoding. The model assumes that encoding and decoding of messages occur almost instantaneously. However, in reality, these processes may take time, particularly in complex or nuanced communication situations. This oversimplification can undermine the accuracy of the model's portrayal of communication dynamics. In summary, the Osgood-Scrum model of communication offers several advantages, such as its dynamic nature, emphasis on redundancy, circular perspective, and recognition of the role of feedback. However, it has limitations, including the neglect of semantic noise and the assumption of instantaneous encoding and decoding. Berlow's SMCR model of communication is a well-known and influential model proposed by David K. Berlow, a communication scholar. It provides a framework for understanding the communication process by identifying key elements involved. Berlow's model of communication encompasses several factors under each of its elements. Here is an explanation of the factors associated with each element. Source: communication skills, the abilities of an individual to effectively communicate, including reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. Attitudes, the attitudes of the source towards the audience, subject matter, and oneself. For example, a student may have an attitude of eagerness to learn, while a teacher may have an attitude of willingness to help teach. Knowledge, the source's understanding and expertise on the subject or topic being communicated. For instance, a teacher needs to possess in-depth knowledge of the subject being taught to facilitate effective communication with the students. Social system, the social context in which communication takes place, encompassing aspects such as values, beliefs, culture, religion, and the overall understanding of society. Encoder. The encoder is the sender of the message, responsible for encoding the message and initiating the communication process. Message. Content, the body of the message, including all the information, ideas, or concepts being conveyed. In a classroom setting, the content of the message would encompass the material taught by the teacher throughout the class. Elements, the various components accompanying the content of the message, such as language, gestures, body language, and other forms of expression. These elements support and enhance the overall message. Treatment, the manner in which the message is packaged, conveyed, and delivered to the receiver. This includes factors like presentation style, tone of voice, and writing style, which can greatly influence the effectiveness of the communication. Berlow's model emphasizes that effective communication can occur when the aforementioned requirements are met in proper proportion. It underscores the significance of the source's communication skills, attitudes, knowledge, and the broader social system in facilitating successful communication. The model also acknowledges the role of the encoder in initiating and encoding the message, while highlighting the content, elements, and treatment of the message itself. Structure. The structure of the message pertains to how it is organized and arranged into different parts. It involves the way people structure their messages to effectively convey information. Code. The code of the message refers to the means and form through which it is transmitted. It includes various forms of communication such as language, body language, gestures, music, and even cultural symbols. Codes serve as the medium for giving and receiving messages, enabling communication to occur. Channel. The channel represents the sensory organs through which communication takes place. It encompasses the 5 senses: hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, and tasting. Each sense organ serves as a channel through which messages can be transmitted and received. In the context of Berlow's model, understanding the structure of the message helps in organizing and presenting information effectively. The code serves as the medium or language used to convey the message, encompassing various forms of expression. Additionally, the channel refers to the sensory channels through which messages are transmitted and received, enabling the communication process to occur.